Hi, and welcome to Create, Automate, and Scale podcast. Tune in to this inspirational, straight to the point, relatable content for entrepreneurs to help you mastermind the everyday hassle, give you business tips, networking opportunities, shameless money talks, and scaling secrets. Created to support you, to support coaches and course creators just like you, to help you take action, stop trading dollars for hours, and explode your business. It's time to hit that six-figure and beyond. Let's go! Welcome to Create, Automate, and Scale podcast. Hi, I'm Sophie Riley, and I'm your host. Today, I have a really special guest, Tara, who has spent over 25 years in leadership development, leading a team of women across the nation, and holding the #1 position in her state for her company. She holds a degree in theater, has a background in improvisation, and is both counseling practitioner and REBT certified. She is the founder of Hey Girl, You Can, a community of over 40,000 plus women around the world. Tara is a sought-after expert, top 5 TEDx speaker, a TEDx Play Series performer, and author of Making Cancer Fun, A Parent's Guide, Amazon #1 new release, and has been featured on MSNBC, GMA, 5280, and Reader's Digest, just to name a few. She is a contributing author on Every Entrepreneur's Guide to Running Your Own Business, a contributor to Conquer Magazine, The Patient's Voice, and can be heard on podcasts worldwide, just like this one. Tara lives in New Jersey with her miracle kid daughter, Emily Grace. You can find Tara online at heygirlyoucan.com and makingcancerfun.com. Welcome to the show, Tara.
It is always so weird when somebody reads your bio. I don't know that I'll ever not think that feels weird.
It is weird, but you've accomplished a resiliency conversation, because resiliency, although seems to be a hard word for me to say today, it is probably the biggest key to success. It affects your business. It affects your everyday life. It affects your results, your success, your happiness. Yeah. It is such an important topic that we get to tackle today.
Yeah, it's funny. My daughter said to me the other day, my daughter's now 16, and she's a cancer survivor. She's a stage 4 cancer survivor. So she's got a unique perspective on the world, right? At 16, having gone through that. And she literally looked at me the other day and rolled her eyes, and she's like, Mom, I feel like resiliency is your favorite word. And I said to her, really is, because I just truly believe it is the #1 skill that somebody needs in life. And whether that's personal, whether that's business, whether that's their relationships, like resiliency will determine how well you do life. And for it to be such an incredibly important skill, nobody teaches you. There's no class in school that I ever took in high school that was like how to be resilient in life, right? There was no college class. I took psychology classes even. There was nothing that was specifically about how do I build resiliency? And when I think about my daughter and I think about who I want her to be as an adult, I feel like the very most important skill that I can give her is resiliency, because I'm not always going to be here to be able to pick her up when she falls down. But what resiliency actually means, like by a definition, is the ability to rebound. It's to spring back. And if she can always rebound from whatever happens to her in life, I will be able to die knowing that she will be okay. And when I think of resiliency, I think of those old, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. They're like these inflatable clowns. I don't know why they were always clowns, but they had a weighted bottom and you blew them up and they were punching. You could punch them and then they would pop back up, right? Because they had this weight on the bottom and you could punch them really hard. You could have a little kid being like, ah! But that little clown is still going to pop right back up. There's just no way to keep it down. And I always picture that when I think of resiliency. I think, how amazing would you feel if you knew no matter what life tried to knock you down with, you were going to pop back up? Even if you got hit a few times, you would pop back up. And imagine just how you would show up different in life if you knew you were that powerful. If you knew that you were so powerful that there was absolutely nothing that could knock you down that you could not rebound from. That would affect how you make choices in life. That would affect how you run your business. That would affect how you interact with people. It would affect your confidence, your self-esteem, all the things that are important for business owners. So I'm all about the resiliency. And I know we were talking, Sophie, rightly before we started filming, that even more so recently, because of what's happened in our world over the last few years, I've seen people who otherwise were doing great in life, but when the pandemic hit, they had never, ever had to use a resiliency muscle. And they literally could not cope. And I've seen, even my daughter and I, we talk about this with her friends, that a lot of it, what we've seen is how the parents coped, is how these kids experienced the pandemic. And unfortunately, a lot of people were just not prepared to have to be resilient. And so it's affected some of the stats that we see now that are coming up in the world with just mental health issues. Forbes magazine reported that the rates of burnout, anxiety, and depression are at record levels. Here in America, at least 42.5 million people struggle with anxiety. And what's crazy is that women have twice the rate of depression as men. And when you look on a worldwide scale, depression is the leading cause of disability. So think about the amount of work that is affected, whether you're an employee or an entrepreneur, because of depression. And on a scale for the impact that depression and anxiety has on our global economy, it's estimated that $1 trillion, not a million, not a billion, $1 trillion is lost every year in productivity due to anxiety and depression. So when people think, oh, this doesn't affect me, this is not an important conversation, it does affect you. Because if you're a business owner, it's going to affect how you run your business. If life comes at you and you get blindsided, is your business going to fall apart? If your number one client quits, are you going to be able to pick yourself back up? But more importantly, if you have people working for you and employees and they're not resilient, how does that affect your business? So any business owner, this needs to be in the forefront of when you're thinking is, my resiliency will affect how I can run my business.
Those numbers are shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking. It is so high. I can't say that I'm surprised by it because you can really feel that there's a shift going in terms of mental health. And yes, you know what? It's sometimes we don't even feel it as ourselves. We're like, no, I'm not depressed. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not stressed. But I would love for you to just think about it for a second. How is your body feeling? Are you getting more headache? Are you hurting everywhere? Is your stress manifesting maybe in some other ways? Because the compound effect of the past, I don't know how many years it's been, too many, it's crazy. So let's dive into a little bit more of that resiliency as to what can we do to be more resilient in life and in our business?
Yeah. So resiliency, I really think of it like a muscle. So when you go to a gym and you start working out, it's painful and you don't really like to show up. You're not comfortable. You don't really know how to do it. You feel out of place. But if you continue to show up, your muscles get stronger and stronger. And that is truly what I see with resiliency. The more you use the muscle, the stronger you get. Okay. So one of the reasons my daughter and I fared really well through the pandemic, quite openly, is because we already had this super strong resiliency muscle, because I had gone through a domestic violence divorce the exact same year my daughter had stage 4 cancer. Talk about having to build a resiliency muscle, right? So unfortunately, I wouldn't want to go through that season again, but the benefit, the gift was that I was already in a place where that muscle was so strong that the pandemic really, we actually had a very different experience than most people. Okay. Not that it was easy, but it didn't knock us down the same way. I think one of the biggest things with resiliency is that we have to know and we have to believe that no matter what happens to me, I will be okay. I will be able to handle it. I will be able to spring back. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. When the pandemic hit, I'm a single self-supporting mother. I got a little bit nervous because my company I sell a product, and my company was looking at having to close their manufacturing branch. The U.S. government was shutting down all non-essential businesses. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, if I cannot get my product to sell, it doesn't matter what I do, right? Like I won't be able to physically get the product to my customers. And so I started to freak out. And I started to calculate in my head, like, oh my gosh, how long could I stay in my place that I was living at? And what would I have in savings? And so there's a thing called catastrophizing, which basically is you go down the rabbit hole. You go deep down into the rabbit hole and you say, okay, if my company shuts down, then what will happen? Then I guess I would have to rely on my savings. Okay, what will happen when my savings run out? Then I might have to do this. And as I went down the rabbit hole, I got down to, in the worst case, I was going to have to give up my place, put my belongings in storage, move back in with my mother and into her house, right? And wait it out. And then when the pandemic was over, I would have to rebuild my business. And so I went from this place of panic into that's clearly not ideal. I really don't want to have to do that for many reasons, right? But the reality is I had to rebuild my business after my daughter's cancer and my divorce. And I did it once. And if I need to, I can do it again. And I don't want to, but I know that I can. And so all of a sudden that panic dissipated. It was like, all right, if I'm at the bottom of the rabbit hole, here's the worst case scenario. Right. And as long as I'm alive and my daughter's alive and nobody has died, which, was not the case for a lot of people during the pandemic. But in my worst case scenario, I was like, as long as we can stay alive, right, this would be the worst case. I'd have to give up my home. I'd have to give up my business. I'd have to rebuild. And I can do that. So sometimes going down that rabbit hole, it seems scary, helps us realize that our fears that we really can handle whatever that worst case is. I will tell you, even down to when we talk about when people did lose people and dying is really the worst. I write about this in my book. There was a time when my daughter was done with cancer treatment and I had a reason to believe that her cancer had come back. And at that point, it would not be about saving her life. It would be about extending her life based on her cancer and her treatment. And I remember being face down in my bathroom. I had locked myself in the bathroom and I said, God, I cannot handle this anymore. And I need to know if this child is going to live or die. And I'm not leaving my bathroom until you tell me. I was mad. I was like, I've been on an emotional roller coaster for too long. I literally am at the end. I have nothing left. If she's going to die, I just need to know because I cannot handle this. And I remember feeling that like totally overwhelmed. And openly, I don't know how long I was in the bathroom, but I do remember what God said to me. And he said, you're not going to know whether she's going to live or die, but how long is enough for you? If she lives to the age of remission, will that be enough? Because what happens if she's 18 years old and she's crossing the street and she gets hit by a drunk driver the way my friend's daughter did and dies? Will that be long enough for you? What if she lives to 30 and she dies in her sleep from a heart failure the way another friend's sister did? Will that be long enough for you? What if she's 50 and you're 90 and she has a heart attack? Will that be long enough for you? Like, how long does she need to live for it to be okay for you? Because the reality is when, particularly a child, there's never a long enough. And when we lose somebody who we care about, there's never an okay time, right? And so God was like, that is not guaranteed. All you can do is be grateful for every single day that you have with her, that you get to be her mom. And that was a tough acknowledgement of we have no control. And part of, I think, a lack of resiliency is that we want to believe we have control. And the reality is we don't. And when we can come to a place of saying, look, I have no control about my life. Here in the United States, we have 90 people a day or something ridiculous that die in car accidents. Like, we have no control. We try so hard to believe that we do. But when we can come to a place of saying, I really don't have control, but I can choose. I can choose how I show up. I can choose how I react versus am I going to respond to something or am I going to react to something? When I react, I give my power away. When I respond, I keep my power. So you have a client who's driving you crazy. You have somebody who disappoints you in business. You have a customer who puts a bad review. Do you react? Or do you come from a place of, okay, I'm going to take my power back. I'm going to think for a second. How do I want to show up and respond? I can't control all of this. I can't control a bad review, but I can control how I respond, right? That allows us to, again, it builds that muscle. It's like doing just a couple of extra, okay, I got this. I'm going to be okay. Resiliency is being able to say, I'm going to be okay. I will get through whatever life throws at me, even if I don't want to. And I think a huge way that we can build resiliency and a very simple, it seems so simple, we don't do it. And I'm guilty of this. It seems so simple that we put it at the very bottom of our list because we go, sounds good, but it's not really, I got other things to do. How many of you guys as business owners, like we all feel this, right? I got other stuff to do. But truly the thing that I think makes the biggest difference is a true, real gratitude practice. And I don't mean the one that we all do, the easy gratitude practice, the one that's I'm grateful for my spouse, I'm grateful for my kids, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful for my health. We all claim that is not a gratitude practice. That is useless. A gratitude practice is what is something that seems super insignificant that happened today or this week, but that is truly significant that you can be grateful for. And when we dig really deep, like that is what shifts our life. So what do I mean by this? I was just telling somebody about this. I was driving the other night to get to my other house and I was exhausted and I had been driving for a while and it was dark and it was late and I was exhausted and I just wanted to get there and I missed my exit. And I was super annoyed because now the way the road was, I was going to go 10 minutes in the wrong direction. And I was like 5 minutes away. And now I had 10 more minutes of driving and I was super annoyed and angry. And as I get off the next exit, because now I'm 10 minutes away, I'm like, okay, now I'm getting closer. Now I'm back to 5 minutes away. I will be there soon. It is late. I am tired. I just want to get out of the car. I get stopped in traffic. Just sitting in stopped traffic. And I'm like, oh my God. Now I'm sitting in traffic. I was already 5 minutes. Now I'm 10 minutes. Now I'm sitting here in traffic. And as I'm sitting there, I'm watching multiple ambulances, multiple fire trucks drive to the accident that was in front of me. And in that moment, I thought, what if I hadn't missed my exit? Would I have been in that accident? And I'm so grateful that I missed the exit. And I'm so grateful that I'm sitting here stuck in traffic and I'm not the person that the ambulance is coming for. So what seems really insignificant in a moment of my life, it's not my daughter, my house, my health. It's something insignificant. It's that I missed an exit. And so I missed an accident. But when we start to view life as a series of really beautiful, insignificant blessings, life starts to change for us, right? And so when it comes to business, this is really important because as business owners, we look at what's not working. How many people unsubscribed to my email list today? And then we focus, right? You could have had 2 unsubscribes and 3 subscribed. And what do? Why don't those 2 like me? Why don't they like me? What's wrong? What do I need to change? Nobody likes me, right? Or we have somebody that we did a great appointment with and we thought for sure we gave them our packet, our PR. We're like, yes, they're going to hire me. And then they don't. They say, we're going in a different direction. And then what do? We doubt ourselves. We think, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? Why did I think I could start a business? We get a client who returns something. Any number of things that could go wrong in our business, right? And we focus on those instead of shifting and saying, wow, I'm really grateful that I had an opportunity to pitch to this person. And I know they didn't choose me, but what is the gift in here? I feel more confident. Maybe I put my materials together a little bit differently. Maybe it forced me to do a PR packet that I didn't have. A lot of times when I lose a client or I have somebody who doesn't want to work with me, I think to myself, thank you. That person was probably going to be the biggest headache in my life, and God protected me. Or maybe a better client was going to come along, or a better opportunity was going to come along, but you would never know about it, nor would you be able to take advantage of it because you had this one over here that you had already said yes to. And so when we can start to find like, what is the things to be grateful for? I'm really great. Okay, 2 people unsubscribed, but I am so grateful that 3 new people want to be on my email list. I'm so great. And we sit in that feeling of gratitude. We start to vibrate at a different level. And all of a sudden we open up the space around us to attract more to us because we're coming from this place of gratitude. And it builds resilience because you're like, okay, it doesn't matter that 2 people subscribed. I'm grateful for this is what happened. I am strong enough. I am capable. I am able. You know, what I have to say, when you start a business, it's usually because you have a gift you want to share with the world, right? And so when you come from a place of gratitude, you start to go, I feel good enough about myself that now I can pour into others. That's what our business is, right? It's really pouring into other people, whether it's a product, a service, a consulting, it's giving our gift to somebody else. And we can only do that when we're completely filled. And so gratitude is the cheapest. It's free. It seems so inconsequential, but I truly believe if you did this every day for 30 days, it would change your life. And if everybody in the world did it every day for 30 days, it would change our world overnight. We would have it instantaneously. Our world would be unrecognizable. If every single person every night had to just do a 15-minute what they were grateful for, digging really deep. They can't say their house or job, but every day had to think of something new to be grateful for. Can you imagine what our world would look like in a month on a global scale? People would be like, this is no longer Earth. It would be like we had moved to a new planet. It would be amazing.
I am speechless. First of all, this is so inspiring. I'm so grateful that you're here today, but it's so true. Something else is that, yes, it's a muscle and we get to practice and practice, But what I've noticed is the more I am grateful, the more opportunities I see.
Yes.
You're now able to see all the good. You're now able to see all the opportunities, and all opportunities that I was not able to see before. Now I know that this is, though you put it in such a simple way, I know that it's not necessarily something that is easy to do. What are your thoughts on having a system in place to help us gain that gratitude level, that resiliency? Is it accountability? Is it a community? Is it a coach?
Yeah. So I think all of those things are great. Again, it's like joining a gym, right? How many gyms rely on the fact that you will join and a certain percentage of you will not show up? Think about it, because they have to rely on that, because there's only so many treadmills, right?
Yep.
If every single member showed up every single day, there wouldn't be enough treadmills. And it's interesting because the gym never goes, okay, we sold enough memberships, now we're not selling any more memberships. There's always somebody whose job at the gym is to sell memberships. So they're relying on the fact that you want to get healthy, you want to lose weight, but you're not going to do it, right? And it's the same thing with gratitude. Yeah, it sounds really good. I think I want to do it, but I might even get a notebook, a journal to write my gratitude in. It's like joining the gym, right? I bought the notebook, I brought the gratitude journal, but do you show up? And so do you show up for yourself? And so why do we show up to do things? And it's that saying that we will stay the same until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of the actual changing. Because anytime we do something new, whether it's showing up at a gym, or whether it's sitting down every night and forcing yourself for 15 or 20 minutes to write a gratitude journal, it's new. It's a new habit. It's painful. Now it means I might have to turn Netflix off 15 minutes early, right? I might need to get off a Candy Crush and stop scrolling through my phone to do my gratitude journal. And guys, I get it, right? Like, guys want to veg out. And so I have to go, which is more painful, to stay where I am in life, to be constantly reactive, to be constantly having anxiety, depression, feeling like the world can knock me down any minute, to constantly feeling like I'm hanging on by a thread, or to just constantly know that, hey, I was meant for more. I just can't seem to get to this next level. I feel like I can't scale. I'm constantly hitting a roadblock. Like, why am I not moving? It's probably because your energy is blocked. There's something that's not grounding you. There's some mental things that are happening there. There's so many reasons. But if I said to you, would you be willing to try this for 30 days and to see if life would change for you? Where you are right now needs to be more painful. And one thing that we talk about is, why do people make change? And there's this whole concept that you don't love the future you. If you thought about the future you and you thought about the future you and you said, I really love that person. And I'll tell you, I work on this with food, right? Because I truly wish that Oreos and coffee were health food. When I got my nutritionist, I said to her, she goes, what do you like to eat? I straight out looked at her. I said, I like coffee, I like wine, and I like Oreos. Can we work that into my new diet? She said, no, this is hard for me. I have to think about, do I love future Tara? I want future Tara to be healthy. I want future Tara to be able to walk on the beach when she's 65 years old. I want future Tara to not be in pain, right? And so if I love future Tara, then current Tara can't eat the Oreo as much as she wants it, because I love future Tara. Because think about your children. You love your children. Would you do it for your children? But do you love yourself the same way? And often we think of our future version as somebody we're so disconnected from, that we don't love, that we just make choices today that fill our pleasure need, that make us feel good in the instance. So if you truly love the future version of yourself, then you're going to say, it's worth it to me for 30 days to just try this and just see if it will change things in my life. Here's the best part. Just like going to a gym, once you start to see results, you want to show up. So once you do this gratitude practice for 30 days and you start to see your life change, you want to show up. I started my gratitude practice at the darkest season of my life. It was in a hospital bed with my daughter, thinking she was going to die while I was still in court with my ex-husband with restraining orders. It was the darkest season of my life. And I will tell you that within about 4 months of gratitude journaling every single night, I ended up writing a blog post called Life is Good. It might have been 3 months. I don't remember exactly. Can you imagine? And nothing had changed. Here's what's crazy. Nothing had changed about my situation. My daughter still wasn't sure if she was 65, was still dealing in court cases with my ex-husband. Nothing about my circumstances had changed, but I had changed. I had changed so dramatically that I actually could sit there and say, my life is so good. And so I have seen this over and over again with people that I work with, dramatic changes quickly. And when you start to have a dramatic change, you'll continue to show up for yourself. So I think one is having that you have to love your future self enough that you want to do it and being committed to do it for a month. I think all of those other things, Sophie, are really powerful. We know that accountability totally stacks the odds in your favor. So if you can even just find someone in your life, say, let's do this together and be accountable. Being part of a community. I have a membership that's starting, just I'll throw that out there for anybody who wants to be involved in that and get into a community and get into with other people who are doing the same thing. But also having a coach is really great because your coach will hold you accountable. It's why my doctor sent me to a nutrition coach, right? And I got to meet with her every month and be like, all right, did I say what I was going to say that I was going to do? Because we know that coaching, when it holds you accountable, is what moves the needle forward for people, right? So having a coach who's going to say to you, have you journaled every night? What are you seeing has changed? These things are important. And having that one-on-one relationship can really make a difference. So you want to hack things, right? You want to stack the odds in your favor. What can I put around me that is more likely to support me in this? And sometimes it's as simple, literally, as going out and buying yourself a beautiful journal with a beautiful pen that every time you look at it, you want to write in it. If you have a 99-cent notebooks from the Dollar Tree and you look at it and you're like, I'm not really inspired to write in that. Or if you have a beautiful journal that you picked out on Amazon and it has this great pen that you love that makes even little things like that, you'll be like, I want to pick that up. I want to open that up. I want to journal in there.
So inspiring. Thank you so much for all of this knowledge today. Please give your daughter a hug from all of us for being such an inspiration at such a young age. She's gone through so much already. It's crazy.
I tell her, I'm like, she's the most resilient person I've ever met in my life. And it's funny, we're looking at colleges and we're talking about other kids and they're struggling, particularly this new group of kids who've gone through the pandemic are really struggling in college. And that is one thing I am grateful for. I am not worried. She is resilient. Yeah.
I don't know if you have it in your agenda to write a new book, but resiliency at every age, I would be curious.
I will tell you, I wrote my one book only because people really asked me to, and God kept showing up and being like, you need to share this. And when that was over, I was like, I don't know that I'll ever do that again. But I have some things that you can go check out. It's on Tara G online. I've got a great resiliency journal. There's also a free assessment. If you're wondering what your resiliency is, it's easy. It's 10 questions, but it'll just gauge you to give you an idea of where you're starting from. And sometimes even just that knowledge is helpful. I would say that the easiest way to gauge your resilience is to think about if you got stuck in traffic, how would you react? And that is usually a good gauge. If you're like cursing everybody out and wanting to give them the finger and now you're totally annoyed, you probably need to work on some resilience, right?
It's an awesome way to put that. I want to say thank you so much, Tara. I'm going to put all of these amazing links below into the show notes. So if you're listening, make sure that you go check out the show notes. You grab all of the links and the gifts provided from Tara. Thanks for tuning in to the Create, Automate, and Scale podcast. We hope you found today's episode to be inspirational, informative, and straight to the point. Our goal is to provide you with relatable content that helps you mastermind the everyday hustle, grow your business, and achieve your goals. As an entrepreneur, we know how tough it is that it can be to navigate the world of business, which is why we're here to support you with valuable tips, networking opportunities, shameless money talk, and scaling secrets. We're dedicated to helping coaches and course creators take action, stop trading dollars for hours, and explode their business to hit that six-figure and beyond. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast to stay up to date with the latest episode, and feel free to leave a review or reach out to us with any feedback or questions that you may have. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode of Create, Automate, and Scale.